welcome to MoreBikes.co.uk and welcome to another episode of our long-term life. This is about the Africa Twin. The one that we have on loan from Honda as our long-term test bike is the DCT version. And I've now done just over 3,000 miles on it, so I thought it would be perfect time to look at some of the things I like about it, some of the things I'm not so keen on, and some of the things that I haven't really made my mind up about yet. So top threes, things that I like. Number 3 is comfort. This bike is amazingly comfortable. I've done, like I say, over 3,000 miles. The seat is really comfortable. It doesn't look like it, but it actually is all day comfortable. The bars are really wide, so you got plenty of steering from the bars. You got the big screen as well, so you got the elements away from your body, and this bike is just so easy to ride. It's the comfort levels are phenomenal. Number 2, what I like is my panniers and my top box. These are all big boxes, and they're all Honda boxes. They're not Jivy. They come direct from Honda. And yes, you could say that they're a little on the flimsy side perhaps, but there's loads of space. They're really easy to get on and off. I've been camping with all my sleeping bag, sleeping mats, everything in here, and I've had no problems at all. There's both the top box and one of the side boxes take a full face helmet. The other side is slightly smaller because of the exhaust, but still plenty of space. And in number 1 position, the thing that I like the most is the engine. I love that, the parallel twin. It's a beautiful engine. 1000cc, so it's a big engine. Twin, so it makes a beautiful sound. It has lots of low and mid-range torque. Power-wise, it's slightly low on comparison to the big BMs or the KTMs. But you know, just under 100 brake horse, it's not bad at all. There's plenty of power there, and you can really ride it quite sportily if you like, or just enjoy the torque in lower revs. So then, that's the top 3 of things that I do like. Things that I'm not so hot on. Top 3 in 3rd place, a slight niggle, to be honest. However, the exhaust cover comes out just a little bit too much for my liking. My heel sometimes gets caught up on it, and I can't quite get the same foot position on the right hand side as I can on the left hand side. I've got big feet, I admit that, but just another inch would have been really helpful. But that's a niggle. In number 2, things that I'm not so hot on are the front indicators. The lights on them stay on all the time unless you're indicating. The lights are on, which again is not a big deal, but it's just a bit odd. And the amount of times that people have stopped me and asked if there's something wrong with the electrics on the bike simply because the lights are on, I think it's an EU regulation that they need to be on all the time while you're driving, but I don't know, I could do without that. And niggles number 1 is the engine bar. This is, I haven't had to use it, luckily. I've not had any accidents, or I haven't dropped the bike. However, I've seen bikes that have been dropped, and the engine bars move quite significantly when the bike is dropped. So you can only really use them for one drop, and then they're gone. Because of the front attachments here, there's not much leverage at all. So as there's impact, the bars move. So that's a bit of a shame. But those are the niggles. Right. So 3 things that I'm not quite so sure about yet. Things that I'm yet to decide. 3rd place is suspension. It's on the soft side, but having said that, it is fully adjustable. You can adjust the front and the back, compression, damping, preload. So I haven't done any of the adjusting yet. So I'm thinking I'm not going to knock it until I've actually had a go at setting it up properly. At the moment it is on the soft side, and I'm finding the bike is just a little bit unresponsive in sometimes, but it is very comfortable at the same time. Number two things that I'm not quite sure about yet are the tyres. The Dunlop Trail Max. They are fine in dry conditions, but I'm not quite sure. I've had a couple of small slides in the wet, so I'm thinking, is it the tyres or am I just giving it a bit too much welly in the rain? I'm gonna try and get some different tyres just to test, see whether it's just my riding or whether it is the tyres. In first place, in the things that I haven't made my mind up about yet, is the DCT system, the very essence of this bike. It's a bit of a weird thing because I have mixed feelings about it. Sometimes I absolutely love it. It's brilliant when you're in town, you're cruising along, you don't have to worry about the clutch or anything. You just switch the drive mode on and it just takes care of itself. You just ride one-handed through town, no problem. Equally, if you want a bit of a sportier ride, you can flick the sport modes in and you can go a bit faster, and it keeps the revs slightly higher, changes gear slightly later. Again, super easy. And you can go for the manual setting, which when I first got this bike I used the manual setting a lot. Nowadays not so much. I've more used the Sport 3 setting, and that's where my questioning of the DCT system comes in a little bit, because I find that although in hard acceleration the sport mode works beautifully, however if I'm just cruising along going through some nice bends, and I go to a bend and I can manually flick the gears down if I want, and I can say I'm approaching in fourth, I want to switch the gear down to third, I can do that on approach and I go through the bend. But then when I go around the next bend and I want to still carry on in third gear, sometimes the system changes the gear up, which for me that's a bit of a problem. But it's not a massive issue. It's just something that I think I need a little bit more time to get used to. So that's why the DCT is there, things to be decided. But overall, 3,000 miles. I've had a great time on this bike, absolutely fantastic ride. Like I said, the riding position, fantastic. I could do any amount of touring on this bike quite happily, and it's good on fuel. I get about 50 miles per gallon, which I think from a 1000 cc bike is not bad at all, and it is a great looking bike. You know, you always turn a few heads when you're out and about on it. But that's it for now. That's my 3,000 miles sum up, my top threes. So I'll get back on the bike. I'll get testing it a bit more. I'll change the tyres. I'll adjust the suspension a little bit, and I'll come back to you and I'll report on how I'm getting on when I've got a few more miles under my belt. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned on MoreBikes.co.uk.